Hello YouTubers, scrappers, gold lovers, welcome back to my channel. This is episode 5, believe it or not, of me doing a toll refine on Ken's 45 pounds of RAM chips that he sent me. And it has been a lot of work up to this point, let me tell you. I have been head down, nose to the grindstone, working my butt off on these chips. But as of the end of the last episode, the chips have all been incinerated, ball milled, gravity separated, concentrated, sieved, junk metal removed, you name it. We are down to 2 buckets of concentrates, and all I've got left to do with these is get the gold out of them. Doesn't that sound simple? Doesn't that sound easy? And we are going to start with that today. And I think I'm going to finish up the first bucket of concentrates that we made way back in episode 2, and I had used for my small scale sample runs in episode 3. So there's still some concentrates in here, so I think we'll finish this up before we start on the concentrates we made in the last episode. So let's get started. Let's see if we can get some gold, some serious gold in this episode. I've got the concentrates here from the first gravity separation I did way back in part 2 of this series, when I processed the first half of Ken's chips after incineration and ball milling. You know, I did a gravity separation and got these concentrates. And then part 3, I did a couple of small scale tests on this stuff to see about whether my idea of how to get rid of the steel in it was going to work, and whether I could then extract the gold without too much trouble. And sure enough, it worked by a couple of small scale tests. So I'm ready to scale up. So I was doing those small scale tests in 1 liter beakers. I've got my 2 big 3 liter beakers here, and we're basically going to do the same thing with these that we did with the 1 liter beakers, only on a larger scale. Going to put a fair amount of these concentrates in each beaker. I don't want to get the layer across the bottom of the beaker so thick that the acid's not going to be able to work on this stuff. So let me see what this looks like. Just put a little water on it and spread it out some. Yeah, I think that'll work. It's maybe 100 milliliters of material in there. The depth is at most about 1/4 of an inch. That I think will work. And I think we can get through a good part of these concentrates by doing amounts this size. I think we can. So let me see how that looks. This one could use a little bit more. Yeah, it's not quite as full as the other one. But yeah, that made a big dent in the concentrates in here. So that's good. But you know what? I'll bet, getting down to the dregs at the bottom of the bucket, I'll bet that's where most of the gold is, though. This stuff will have gold in it, I'm sure. But I will bet that a lot of the gold is hanging out in the bottom of that bucket. And the last batch I do out of it will probably have a lot of gold in it. Okay, so let me get these in the fume hood. I'm finishing up a couple of little experiments I was working on during a break on doing this stuff. So they're almost done. I'll get these in the fume hood. We'll get some hydrochloric acid on them and start dissolving all that steel in these things. And then we can go on to extracting the gold. Okay, got the two samples of our concentrate in the, I guess they're not samples anymore, this is production. So I got the 2 beakers, 3 liter beakers in the fume hood. I got 2 stir plates in here, stir plate hot plates. I was so lucky to get a couple of these on a scrap pickup a while back. I'll put a link to that in the upper right. You can check out that video if you like. So let me give you a close-up look at the strange phenomenon we discovered in the last video in part 3. This focused really well, and hopefully this is going to show up when I turn on the stirring. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, look at it spin with no stir bar in there. That's from the iron filings in there, the steel filings. Then we got the same thing going on over here. Turn it on. Look at that. Look at it go. Wow. Okay, so they're spinning. Let me put some muriatic acid on them so we can get that steel dissolving out of there. That would be nice to get rid of the steel. That one, let me even it up a bit. May not matter, but all right, that's about equal. Woo, that closed. All right, so I forgot to turn the heat on. I'll turn the heat on these two, and we'll get them cooking, and we'll get that steel dissolving. And if the this is probably going to take all day, and maybe even into tomorrow on these two, to get all that steel dissolved. And if the weather lets me, I'll start on the gravity separation on the second half of the material. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is go have some lunch. Well, I'm back from lunch, and it looks like we got a pretty vigorous reaction going on in both beakers there. And it may not be obvious, but they're still spinning too. So there's still some iron filings in there. Not yet digested, which I'm not surprised about. It's only been a half hour, 45 minutes or so. So it's going to take a while, probably the rest of the day, maybe even overnight. I might have to change out the acid, put some fresh in to get all those iron filings or steel filings dissolved. But hey, it looks like it's working. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, these have been on for a good part of the day, maybe about half the day. The reaction started slowing down in them. Rather than changing out the acid, I just added a few hundred milliliters more to them because I was busy with something else. I could tell all of the iron was not gone yet because they were still spinning a little bit, but I did manage to get stir bars in them both, and they're both spinning nicely now, and I think that will speed up the dissolution of the remaining steel. So they're both on the heat, just a little below boiling, and I can still see there's a lot of little fizzing bubbles coming up in there. That tells me that there's still iron in there dissolving. It's the typical reaction of metals with acid. You know, it's producing hydrogen bubbles, so no smoking. Anyway, I'm going to let this go and just keep reacting. And I'm working on some other stuff. So this can just go in the background. I'll let the chemicals do the hard work while I work on other things. Alright, these have been in the fume hood since yesterday evening. Before going in for the night, I just turned the heat and stirring off and let them sit. Reasonably certain that the steel is dissolved. I wasn't really seeing much of a reaction anymore. So I'm going to get these out. I'm going to pour this dark liquid off and give what's left in the bottom of the beakers a rinse, or a few rinses, with first with tap water, then with, well, I've got deionized water. I don't have distilled water right now. There's a distilled water shortage around here. And we'll have a look and see if all the steel filings are really chewed up or not. And if so, we'll move on to a nitric acid boil on this stuff to extract any other base metals in there. So let me get to work on cleaning this stuff up. Okay, start by pouring off this liquid. I have saved a lot of old muriatic acid bottles just for this purpose right here. I knew I would need them for this job. So temporarily I can store this liquid in these until I can process it through my waste processing system. And I think in the last video, that looks pretty good. There's not a lot of steel filing stuck to the magnetic stir bar, so that's a good sign. I think we are really ready to go on to a nitric acid boil for this stuff, because that looks really good. Yeah. We have gotten, if not 100%, then probably 99.9% of the steel out of there. The nitric acid will take care of any that's left. So, okay, good. So I need to give this a few rinses, and I'll do the same with the other beaker in there. I'll pour it off, make sure that the steel is truly dissolved, and give it some rinses. And the waste liquid's going to go in here. And I think I said in the last video that if you guys are interested in seeing the waste treatment process, let me know, and I'll make a video of it, because I'm going to have a fair amount of waste to treat. Much more than usual, because I have to give all of this material some extractions with muriatic acid to get the steel out of it. I'm going to be having gallons and gallons of irony acidic waste that I'm going to have to process. You can't just dump this down the drain. It's number one, it's illegal. Number two, it's not nice. Okay, so I've got to process it first. And if you guys are interested in seeing a video on how I do that, just let me know in the comments, and at some point I will do it, but it'll probably be after I get through with all of Ken's chips here, which taking a little while, you know. Oh, a lot of chips here. I mean, I've probably processed hundreds of pounds of chips in my life, but never 45 in one batch before. Usually spread out over quite a long time. Okay, so let me get this stuff rinsed, and then I got to do the other beaker. Alright guys, I'm doing the last deionized rinse on this. I'm going to swirl this really hard around in a circle and let it settle. And then we'll see if we can see the gold. I'll do like I did back in episode 3 here. Oh yeah, look at that. I will cut this video from my phone into this video so you can see that gold down there. There's a lot of gold in there. You can see the gold. I'll do like I did back in episode 3 here. Oh yeah, look at that. I will cut this video from my phone into this video so you can see that gold down there. There's a lot of gold in there. So I'm going to pour this liquid off, and I'll get these 2 beakers back in the fume hood. We'll put some fresh deionized water on them and some nitric acid and get them cooking. Okay, we are back in the fume hood with these. We get some deionized water on here. I'm really hoping that deionized means there's no chlorine in it, because that's what I'm wanting, is no chlorine in this, so that we can extract any silver out of this stuff as silver nitrate, not as silver chloride, because the silver chloride will get mixed in with the mud in the bottom and we'll never extract it. But since I can't find distilled water right now, deionized is going to have to work. Alrighty. Get some nitric acid on these, and we'll get them warming up and stirring. I don't think there's that much base metal in there. That is probably more than enough nitric acid. I may have gone a little overboard with that. I don't know. Let's see here. If it looks like it still has active nitric in it when the reaction's done, I can always save it and reuse it with the next batch so that the nitric acid doesn't go to waste. Okay, so let's see. Warm it up. Stirring. Let's see, this one's stir bar's in the wrong place on this one. We can get it over. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to go. All right. So we'll just let these sit and we'll see what happens. It's going to take them a while to warm up. See if we get a reaction. Okay, these have had a chance to heat up a little bit. Got some good orange fuming going on in here as the nitric acid consumes whatever base metals were left in there. This one's just got a little bit of orange fuming going on. I think this hot plate's slower to heat up than this one. But we're starting to see some fumes in there. It shows up to my eye. I don't know if you can see it on camera. But we are definitely chewing through the base metals in this stuff that were left over after the hydrochloric acid treatment. So that's what I want to do. I want to get rid of that before we go to aqua regia. So I'm just going to let this cook until I don't really see any more reaction. I'm pretty sure I put more than enough nitric acid in both of them. So we're just going to let it cook. Okay, the weather is moving in fast. It's thundering, it's lightning. It's about to start pouring really hard, so I got to wrap this up. These are done. The reaction has run its course. There's no more bubbling, no more fuming. Interestingly, this one is a lot greener than that one. So that just shows you about the stratification in the bucket that I keep talking about. Obviously, there was more base metal and heavy material in this one than there was in that one when I scooped the stuff out. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to come back out after the weather clears up a little bit. I'm just going to shut this all down and get in the house before I get hit by lightning. And we will pick this up when the weather's a little bit nicer. And I'll drain the liquid off of these two beakers. We'll test it for silver. I'll wash the base metal salts out of this mud in the bottom, and we will move to aqua regia and get the gold out of these two beakers. But that's going to be on when the weather gets better. I'm getting out of Dodge. Okay, the weather has improved enough that I can get back out here for a bit. It's just sprinkling a little right now. There's no thunder, no lightning, so that's great. So I've got the two beakers out of the fume hood. We're going to test them for a couple of things. And interestingly, now that they're out in the daylight, the color difference isn't that striking between them. This one's still definitely much greener than this one, but this one has some green in it. I couldn't really see that in the fume hood. So, okay. We're going to test these for the presence of silver, and we're going to test them for the presence of active nitric acid, because I got a feeling there's a lot of active nitric acid in both of these. I don't want to waste it. And we'll see if there's any silver in them, too. The nitric acid test, see if there's any active acid left in there. It's pretty easy. I got some seashells here from out of my driveway, this shell driveway. So all you do is just put a little bit of acid on them, or a little bit of this liquid on them, and oh yeah, you see the bubbling? I hope that's showing up. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of active nitric acid left in that one. Let me put this one over here. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so they both have a lot of active nitric acid in them. So that tells me that I don't want to discard this liquid. I'm going to use it on the next batch of concentrates, and we'll use up that acid in there to extract more base metals out of the next batch of concentrates. So when I decant this liquid off, I won't dispose of it. I'll just keep it. Now the next thing we want to test for is the presence of silver. So I got some tap water here. Our tap water has chlorine in it. So let's check this one and see. I'm not really seeing much of anything there. I would say there's really no real amount of silver in this one. Let's try this one. Now that one, we'll put a little more of that one in. Yeah, I can see a bit of cloudiness. I don't know if that's showing up on the video. Okay, so this one over here does have some silver in it. Not a lot, just a little bit. This one really didn't show up as having any serious silver in it. So again, it's probably just the way things are stratified in the bucket. Probably this one had more heavy base metals in it than this one did from, you know, the area of the bucket I took the stuff from. So, but even this doesn't really seem to have that much silver in it. It's just basically a trace. So Ken, if you were hoping to get a lot of silver out of these chips as a bonus, you may be disappointed. I think we've just got a trace here. But we may be able to build on this a little bit. Like I said, I'm not going to discard this liquid. I'm going to keep it, and we'll use it on the next batch of concentrates, and the next batch, and the next batch, and over time the amount of silver in the liquid should build up. Maybe we'll get it up to something recoverable, maybe not. But right now we're just at a trace. If we can do, you know, a lot better than a trace, that would be great. So I've got a flask here with some used nitric acid solution in it. I'm just going to add this stuff to it. And in the future, when I get around to doing the next batch of concentrates, I will use this liquid in here to extract the base metals. I may have to add a little extra nitric to it, but that's okay. And as we use it for batch after batch of material, maybe we will concentrate the silver in there until it gets up to something recoverable. Maybe, maybe not. But certainly we won't waste the nitric acid. Oh, just enough room in the beaker, it looks like. Or in the flask. Just enough room in the flask. Okay, good. Alrighty, set that aside. So I'm going to give these a few rinses to get the base metal salts out of the mud in the bottom, and then we'll be ready to go back into the fume hood and put aqua regia on them and dissolve all that gold we saw in the bottom of these beakers earlier. So meet you back in the fume hood in a bit after I get the rinses done. Alright, it's time to make some aqua regia. I think I'm getting a little smarter in my old age. Getting that big acid container into the fume hood to pour it in is not easy, so I'm going to pour about 300 milliliters of acid in using this smaller beaker. That just makes life a little easier. I'm trying to. My fume hood, you know, no fume hood is ever big enough. I don't care, you know, what kind of fume hood you've got, how much you paid for it. There's always some job you want to do that it's not going to be big enough for, okay? So my home-built fume hood here is no different in that respect from a lot of professionally built fume hoods. It's just not big enough for everything I want to do. Okay, so we've got some hydrochloric acid in. Let me get these arranged so I can put squirts of nitric acid in them. Get the temperature on. Let's get some spinning going on. Alright, they're both spinning. Alright, got some heat going. Let's get some nitric acid in there. Nitric acid supplier, by the way. It's Alexo. Because the previous supplier, I was buying it on eBay, and eBay has banned nitric acid sales very cleverly. So they've given the business to their competitors. I'll put a link in the description of this video to Alexo. I'm pretty happy both with their product and with their delivery, their shipping. Okay, so that's about 6 milliliters in each. I'm going to put a little extra. About 7.5 in each. Okay? And we'll see how that does. I think as these warm warm up, we'll start to see some fuming because there's a fair amount of gold in each of them. So we'll get that gold into solution. Alright, so we just gotta let this cook and see what happens. Alrighty, these have been in there for a while. They're starting to warm up. It's kind of weird when I'm doing two at once that they don't take off at exactly the same time. The one on the left has obviously got a heck of a reaction going on in there. And then the one on the right is just starting to bubble really good, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. I may have to turn the heat up on it a little bit. I may have turned the heat up a little higher on that one. It's hard to get them balanced, but yeah, we seriously got some gold going into solution over here. And I can tell by the bubbling down here that's going into solution here. It just hasn't taken off quite as fast yet, but it will. So I'm going to let these cook. In fact, I may let them sit overnight because it's getting late in the day. And maybe tomorrow work on filtering and dropping the gold out of these. So, yeah, I think I'll just let them sit until tomorrow. I'll let them continue to cook until the reaction stops. And then deal with them further in the morning, I think. Oh yeah, we're starting to get some orange fumes in there. Starting to show up. Okay. I'll see you in the morning, and we'll deal with this stuff. Okay, it's the next morning, and I got a late start on this with the Aqua Regia last night because of the rain, and I could see this morning when I came out and I swirled these around that not all the gold was in solution. So they're back on the heat. They've got some extra nitric acid in there, and we're going to keep cooking them until all the gold's in solution, and then we'll move on to icing, filtering, and dropping the gold later. But I want to make sure all the gold is in solution. We don't want to leave any behind in the mud. So we're just going to let these cook for a while until they're done. Alright, this stuff has been cooking for a while. All the gold appears to be in solution. I've got my saturated solution of sulfamic acid here I'm going to use for denoxing these. We'll get some ice on them. Oh, a little bit of fizzing. So, yeah, I would say there was some excess nitric in there. Not a lot, but a little. Okay, let's see about this one. Need some bigger watch glasses. Oh yeah, a little bit of fizzing. So a little bit of excess nitric, but not too much. That's okay. Alright, so let me go get some ice and get these ice down. And we'll go from there. Okay, let me get some ice on this stuff, get it cooling and diluting. And then I'll get my filtration equipment out. We'll get this stuff filtered. We'll be able to drop the gold today. See how much gold we got out of our first real load of concentrates here. We'll see. Okay, just gotta wait for the ice to melt. Okay, time to get this stuff filtered. The ice has all melted. My vacuum pump plugged in. So my plan here is I'm going to get the liquid from both beakers through before I start putting the solids in. And we'll see how full my flask gets down here. I may have to switch out flasks to rinse the pregnant liquid out of the solids. There may be just too much liquid for this 2-liter flask. We'll see. But hey, the filtrate's coming through looking good. It's the right color. It's looking pretty clear. Yep. Alright. So it's going to take me a while to filter all this liquid. So I'll be back when it's done. And we're ready to rinse the solids. Okay, I got the liquid from both beakers in there, but yeah, by the time I get the solids in and start rinsing, we're going to exceed the capacity of this flask. So I'm going to switch over to my smaller flask, and we will do the solid rinsing into it, and then I will combine the liquid from the two flasks into one of my big beakers after I clean them, and we'll drop the gold in one of them, because I think we're going to have more than 2 liters of fluid here, so we're going to need one of those 3-liter beakers. Alright, so as soon as this is done dripping, I will do that. I've got my smaller vacuum flask out here. Going to try and get the solids into here and get them filtered. Basically, I just want to get them out of the beaker into the funnel, and I will run a lot of distilled water through them, and I'll get my stir bar out of there too. Run a lot of distilled water through them to get the pregnant gold solution out of them. And then I will clean up the beakers. Get that out of there. There's one of my stir bars. Whoops. Dropped it again. Okay, there's one stir bar. Let's do this one here. The other stir bar. Okay. Now I can clean these beakers up and use them for the next step. Use one of them anyway for the next step of dropping the gold. There's my other stir bar. Okie dokie. So I've just got to wait for the liquid to drain through here. Went through nice and yellow again. And I will wash the remains in here a few times to make sure I get all of the pregnant liquid out of it. And you know, it's coming through until it's dripping through nice and clear. And then I will combine the contents of these two flasks in one of these beakers after I clean them. And we will drop the gold. And we'll see how much gold we get from this first large scale extraction. Okay. So this is going to take a while. Alrighty, filtration complete. That last drop, I was just waiting for that one to fall. And we are done. Turn off the pump. Not here, get any goodness off the funnel. So, these have been cleaned. I'm going to dump the liquid from both of these flasks into here. And we will go into the fume hood and drop the gold. Finally. This is a process, let me tell you. Gotta find better ways to streamline it in the future. If you have ideas, feel free to leave a comment on this video, alright? Alright, one more rinse. Okay. Let's go drop some gold. Okay, well, we got a lot of liquid there. I hope we get a lot of gold out of it. That would be nice. And I got to figure out where these wasps are coming from. One of the chemicals I'm using, apparently, is very attractive to wasps. And they have been buzzing me out here all day long. I've got to figure out where the nest is and nuke it. Get away from me. Jeez. Fortunately, I'm not allergic to the little buggers, but it's no fun being stung by them. Okay, in goes Stump Out by Bonide. Sodium metabisulfite is the active ingredient, and that's what's going to drop the gold for us. Okay, let me give it a stir. I do believe I see the color changing some already. I'm going to put a little bit more in because there's a lot of oh yeah, we're getting a color change. We're definitely getting a color change. Not seeing the white foam that really tells you you've got enough in there. But boy, are we getting a color change, so maybe we have enough. Okay. I think we'll just let that sit. And do its thing. Ooh, I need to turn the fume hood on. Got a whiff of the sulfur dioxide that's produced by the sodium metabisulfite in there. Oh yeah, look at that. It's gone black. And that's a good thing. That's the gold coming out of solution. Alright, just gotta let it sit and see what we get. It has only been like 10 minutes, and look how much the gold has settled out already. This is going to be a good gold drop. When it settles that fast, it's going to be a good gold drop. There's a fair amount of gold there, and it's going to be fairly clean gold. So, yeah, excellent. Very excellent. Can't wait to see how much we get out of it. Okay, it's the next morning, and look how nicely that has all settled. That was a beautiful gold drop, just absolutely beautiful. The liquid has a very slight green tinge to it, but obviously it was a very clean gold drop. Looks like there's a lot of gold there. It looks like it's all on the bottom. It looks like it's a good color. So I think we got a really good gold drop out of it. The slight green color tells me that there were still some base metals left in the material before I went to Aqua Regia. Maybe I need to give them a longer boil in the nitric acid. Maybe I need to up the amount of nitric acid in there, or both. But really, that turned out very well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to decant off most of this liquid, and then I'm going to get this the gold into a smaller beaker, and we'll start cleaning it up. We'll give it some distilled water washes. I have distilled water again. Yes, my wife found some at the grocery store yesterday when she went. She bought me a couple of gallons. What a woman. What a great lady. Okay, so I've got distilled water again, so we'll give the gold a few distilled water boils. We'll dry it out, and then we'll weigh it, and we'll see what we got. All right, stay tuned for that. All right, I decided to siphon the liquid off instead of decant it, just so I didn't lose gold. So there's the gold on the bottom of the big 3-liter beaker. Looks like a fair amount. We won't know how much it really is until I can weigh it. So I'm gonna transfer it to this much smaller beaker over here and give it some distilled water boils to clean all the remaining salts out of it, and then we'll dry it out and weigh it. See what we got. Okay, the gold has had a couple of distilled water boils. Got to dry it out, and we'll weigh it and see what we got. Alright, I have the gold all dried out. Time to see what we've got here. It always looks like a lot when it's wet. It's never as impressive when it's dry. Let's see what it actually weighs though. Okay, 4.12 grams. There's a little bit of stuff left in here. I'll have to scrape out. It's pretty fine. Okay, 4.12 grams. To be perfectly honest, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to get more like 6 or 7 out of that big double batch of material I did. It could just be I pulled it out of an area of the bucket where there wasn't that much gold. I guess the only way we'll know for sure how much gold there is in all these chips is once I've processed them all. That's going to take a while. I'm going to add this gold to the bottle, which is starting to get some gold in it. So I'll add that gold to that, and hopefully we can fill this up a little better. Yeah, like I said, I was hoping to get a bit more, but we'll see how it goes as I process the rest of the chips, which is going to take me a while. It's a bit of a process. Most of the grunt work is done, but it's just a matter of repetition now. You know, load after load after load of concentrates need to be processed and have the gold extracted from them. So it's going to take me a while. I got a lot of concentrates, and I've only got, you know, 2 big beakers and 2 stirring hot plates, so it's going to take me a little while. I would imagine a couple weeks at least. So if a week or 2 goes by and you don't see a video on this subject, it's because I'm hard at work extracting the gold, and there's really nothing new to show you. You've seen it all. So I will definitely be back when we reach the end and we can tally everything up, see how much gold we got, see what it cost to get it, and make the split with Ken and all that. So we'll definitely be back then, but if a few weeks go by without seeing a video, you'll know why, because I'm working hard on extracting the rest of the gold from the concentrates. So I'm going to bring this video to a close here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this far in. I appreciate it. Subscribe to see future videos in this series and all the other videos I release on all the other subjects, and press that little bell icon YouTube makes you press to be notified when new videos come out, because as a subscriber you will be notified when I release a new video. If you press that bell icon, you'll be notified. Check out my second channel, Electro Geek. Like, subscribe, and click the bell icon there too. I'd appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.